People wear this badge of honour that they can't take on any more jobs.
Too busy.
And I'm like, you're taking on too much crap work and you can't get to the good stuff. And I'd also watched Formula One that weekend, and I was looking at the pit crews, and I was like, how are they so...
They're slick.
They're
real slick.
in and
Yeah,
out. I'm like,
yeah.
this is
They
how
all
you
know
should
their
run
job.
a business.
At the end of the day, as a business owner, you've put your hand up to be a leader, and whatever habits you have, they will see because it will end up on the job site. So I think you need to be really conscious about how you show up every day.
Ange and I had a rule that we can never talk business after 6 p.m. at night unless it was something fun and exciting.
Make sure you've got a community of people who actually understand you well, so that now that you're not with an owner under them and you're now making all these decisions by yourself, have a mentor, have a coach, but have a kitty, a pool of people in an environment that get you.
Welcome back to Made to Build for 2026. We're back in the studio again, Richard.
Absolutely. I've had a fantastic break. How about you, mate?
Mine's been excellent.
That's good. And to everybody watching and listening, I hope you've had a really relaxing, invigorating and safe break for you and your family. Got some awesome guests coming up.
Absolutely. Super excited to get into it and see what's to come for the year.
Check it out. Building a business from within is really, really hard. And so today
Definitely.
we've got two guests that actually know this journey pretty well. So we've got Andy and Angela Smith from Lifestyle Tradie. Guys, welcome to Made to Build.
Great
Thanks
to be
for having
here.
us.
Why is it that it's so hard for a small business owner to grow their business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the big thing is we leave school, if it's year 10 or if it's year 12 or whenever that is, and you decide to be a tradie and you're an apprentice and your boss teaches you to be a good tradie.
Yep.
And then you go to TAFE and you learn the rules and regulations, but no one really teaches you how to be an incredible business owner.
Yeah.
But us tradies, we think we know better and we jump in a truck and we get some tools and work seems to flow our way and off we go. And a lot of those business decisions are real trial and error. And I think there's three things that a lot of people really miss at the start when they go out on their own. Okay. One is most trade business owners, we've been set up to fail because we don't know business. Mm-hmm. The second one is the isolation of being in business. You go from working with your boss who you can ask 1,000 questions a day, and now all of a sudden you're out on your own going, geez, who am I going to ask these questions? So you're making decisions that you don't even know are right.
Yes.
And the third one, and probably the most important one, and we talk about this a lot, is people don't start with the right business model. So they make up what they think they've got to do by watching other people or what Billy Bumcrack or someone down the pub has told them, and they go out on their own and think they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
But they haven't set their business up right from the very start.
Is it correct to say that you learnt all this yourself through your plumbing business that you had?
We definitely learnt the hard way.
Yeah.
So I, as a plumber, I went out on my own. I thought success was growth. More trucks, more guys, more trucks, more guys, and I could get the work, and we just grew. And we grew quite fast as well. And before you knew it, we were a multi-million-dollar business with 17 staff, and things were going great until they went south really, really quick. So we went from making really good months, big net profit, to all of a sudden crashing and burning. And it really took to Ange pulled me aside and she said, you know what? Like I was working from 5 a.m. to 9 at night, never seeing her, never seeing the kids. And Ange pulled me aside one day and said, I think I'm done. And it was a real reality check to go, what do you mean? You're done? And I think the business was my baby and I'd put my heart and soul into this business. I didn't sit down the pub drinking schooners every afternoon. I didn't play the pokies. I wasn't betting with my mates. All I did was work. 7
you
days
worked your
a
ass
week.
off.
I worked my absolute ass off. So to have that angle of Ange saying that, I was really cranky and upset and told Ange a few words I probably wish I didn't. But I went away and I really thought about it and I thought, are you happy, Andy? And it got to a point where I said, well, we've grown so much. We've got big turnover. We had huge profits. Now we're making big losses. The accountant's telling me what's going on. Angie's cracking it. I didn't know where to go. I was at a low, but I didn't want anyone to see it. I was that typical male.
Can I just
Yeah.
check in there? And so by you saying, all right, Ange says I'm done, you were saying, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do our marriage. I don't think I need to move on completely. Is that what that was?
The business was an incredible business.
Yep.
And it was really weird. It was like literally you'd flicked a switch and you'd gone from making incredible money to not. But I just saw the way he was coming home.
Yeah.
So it was in a time where we just had our first child and he was never around, and I just knew that things weren't okay. But he also didn't tell me the truth. So I didn't know that he was taking money from our mortgage to pay the boys' wages at times.
Right.
He just did crazy long hours and he was never happy. So I just at that point said, something has to give here.
That's a huge revelation. Yeah, it's
I
hard.
think tradies, when they get stressed, you know, you try not to take it out on your staff or your clients.
Yep.
But sometimes it feels like an easy target to take it out on your wife.
Yeah.
And I think I did. And I think all my frustration and anger and my worries of losing money and not knowing why and trying to keep it a secret and trying to be this sophisticated guy that was some incredible businessman because I'd had such good success at the beginning, was really weighing me down. And I was at a low, and I suppose it took Ange to snap me out of that and say, what's going on here? I'm not going to continue like this.
Yeah. And so you hit that low point. What happened from there?
So I pretty much went up onto Mona Vale headland. We live in Mona Vale on the northern beaches, and I was crying. You know, I was really upset. And for the first 3 hours sitting up there, I just convinced myself how Ange was wrong and how dare she and why would she say this to me? She doesn't understand what I do. Until I flicked that switch and said, well, are you happy? And it was for the first time I said, well, no, I'm not. And then I went, well, if you're not happy, then why are you working 80, 100, 120 hours, 7 days a week if you're not happy? And then I realised that, you know, Angie's right. And I suppose like every good husband, I went back with my tail between my legs and I apologised of what I had said previously and then said to her, you know what, I need help. I feel lost. I feel out of control and I don't want this either. This isn't the life that we built. You know, from going to such great heights and buying amazing properties and having money and sitting on that pedestal that everyone saw us on, and all of a sudden it came crashing down quite quickly.
On the back end of that, can you speak to something which you guys are doing now, which is the Tradie Trap?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
The Tradie Trap is, I think as staff, when we're working with our boss, we don't actually understand how much it takes to run a business. You know, I think staff go, yeah, I know. And I've had a lot of staff come back to me years later and say, you remember when you used to tell me that? I used to think you're full of crap. And now that I got my own business, I realise how hard it is. So I think the Tradie Trap is we're a good tradie, we're good on the tools. Our boss potentially loves us. We know that we think we're going to be successful, so we go out there, your family, your friends are like, let's do this, and you have a real good crack. But the trap is that we don't know how to run a business. We don't know how to take it to that next level. And we get, you know, the first 3 months, 6 months, a year, we feel okay. And then all of a sudden the trap starts. People start going, holy crap, insurance, this, staff, super, workers' comp, mental health, like you throw it all in there and it's like, holy, this is not easy running a business.
It's a hamburger with a lot.
It's got everything, mate, and a couple of sides as well.
I think the challenge is every trade business owner will relate to the fact that they're actually fairly good at drumming up business because they just need to pay bills, right? So they just need customers. But over time, they get used to just keep saying yes to every single client, regardless of the type of client they are. And therefore, they get so busy, and their solution to busyness is, firstly, they think they're successful because they're doing something. But secondly, their answer is, I just need to put on more staff to cater for the work I'm doing. And because I don't understand finance, sadly, we know this from experience, when you don't understand profit margins properly, you don't understand gross profit, net profit, you don't understand anything about metrics, then you don't understand that they talk vanity metrics. They go, my turnover's amazing. I have the X number of vehicles on the road and X number of tradies. It's like, yeah, but what net profit? How much money are you truthfully making? And profit is not a dirty word. We are actually in business to make money. So therefore we need to understand how to we do that? So tradies get stuck. This busyness trap is getting stuck in rotating business for business sake, busyness for busyness sake, and not understanding how to get this business model right in the first place so that they have options to scale if that's what they want.
Yep. So how have you guys dug yourself out of the tradie trap?
So I just want to talk about an episode that you guys did here with Joel Jones. Do you remember Joel?
Yes.
A builder. He's a Northern Beaches builder, built that incredible house up at Avalon, and he had those sandstone blocks, if you remember.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact statistics, but there was a couple of hundred or whatever. They all got craned in. And this is where business owners go wrong. So when, most tradies understand there's a certain way you got to do things, and that house that Joel built, as he said, he had to crane those blocks in. Everything had to be absolutely perfect from the very beginning, right? Each block had to be laid within millimeters, because if they laid everything right at the beginning, they were going to get the result at the end. And most tradies understand that you get your foundations right, you get the structures right, you get everything in place, you have this incredible house at the end. Well, that's the same as in business. If you don't set your foundations right, if you don't have this stuff set up right, you're in for an absolute hiding down the track, because you don't have the right technology, the right structures, know the right numbers, and you're just winging it. And it's really, really important. And that's why we talk about getting this business model right. And that's what we talk about, the tradie trap. People just go into business and they're winging it. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're just having a crack.
So there are obviously running a successful business, it requires a lot of the right levers to be pulled in the right way.
Yes.
What are the three levers, in a little bit of detail, that every small business owner needs to get right in order to avoid falling into that tradie trap?
Yeah, I think the number one thing, and Ange and I talk about this all the time, you have to understand your numbers. Like, you have to know your numbers like never before, because there's a lot of people out there today still quoting, and it's all guesswork, and they're hoping at the end of the job they make some money. Some jobs they do, some jobs they don't, but they don't even know. So I think when you understand your numbers to such a level, it's super important, and that comes along.
So real time, you need to be able to understand your numbers real time.
Real time
at the end of the month. What's the so you want to be able to, so you could speak to any small business owner and they'd say, all right, I know that this month I'm on track to make X amount of profit. Yeah.
Obviously when you're a builder and you're working on projects and they're bigger jobs, it's harder, but you should know where you should be at any given time, what your expenses are, and you should be tracking that so you know if you're behind or you're not. And you need to make sure you're on the money with how you're tracking. Now, I know through COVID, a lot of people went to this do and charge sort of model, and some people quote jobs, some people don't. And there's all these different models, and you have builders, and then you have plumbers and electricians, and everyone does it a little bit different these days. But the next one is obviously knowing your numbers is super important. The next one is having the right job management system.
Yes.
Okay.
The right job management system to run your business. Now, there's certain ones out there for builders, plumbers, electricians, but if you have that right one set up the right way, it's critical. And I like to talk about, when Ange had cracked it at me and I was sitting up on that hill, I just remember sitting there that day thinking, why is it so freaking hard? Like, why is business so hard? How does everyone else do it? How do these big multinational companies do it? And McDonald's did come to mind. I'm like, hang on, they've got a business and 15-year-olds pretty much run this show, And it's, how do they do that? Well, they do it because everything is done exactly the same way. Everyone knows their role. And that's what we brought into Dr. Drip. And I realised at that stage that we looked at McDonald's, and I'd also watched Formula One that weekend, and I was looking at the pit crews, and I was like, how are they so...
They're slick.
They're
real slick.
In and out. I'm like, this is how you should run a business.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about different franchises and what do they do? Everyone does it the same way. So we realised that the essence is you need the right job management system with the right accounting package, and these days the right CRM system to go as well. But from the moment that phone call comes in, from the moment that text message, that email comes in, everyone needs to answer it the same way, say the same thing, and we talk about this flow of a job. It goes in the job management system the same way. You turn up on site the same way. You invoice, you quote the same way. You ask for acceptance, you chase the quotes the same way. Then you flow through that flow of a job. You collect money, you do it all the same way. And if you do that, and everyone's used to it the same way, you don't have all the drama and all the headaches that most admin, maybe wives, in the office are copping every single day, and they're whinging at their husband, they're whinging at the tradies because they're not getting what they need. And this is where you get that real divide between good tradies out in the field and what information they give to good office people to make sure the jobs are humming so you understand these numbers.
Yeah, so you can't rely on the office person to be the glue that holds the business together.
No.
It's got to be the systems that hold it together.
That's right. That's where I was about to go is if to answer these three things, you've kind of talked to finance and talked about underpinning with technology and systems, which is pretty much what you've just been speaking about, is absolutely the fundamental piece of the glue that does truthfully hold it together.
Yeah.
Trade business owners, I think about what Andy was like. They think that they have to do everything themselves. And understandably, it's the way they started their business, right? You're all in the same boat.
They've watched the previous boss do exactly that.
Wear too many hats.
Wear way too many hats.
Yeah.
And then they actually employ some new people, but they still say, I can still do it better than that person, so I'm just going to do it myself. But if their ultimate dream, when you ask a tradie, what is your ultimate goal? They'll all say, I want to make really good money. I want to have control of my business and do things my way, deal with the clients my way. And I actually want to have time. I want to take a holiday, know the business is running seamlessly whilst I'm away, and maybe even just take a day off to go to the swimming carnival for my kid. But they actually get stuck. And it's not until you build systems that you actually understand what they even mean and truthfully let go. You're a control freak, so stop being a control freak. And
all of us tradies are control freaks, right?
I think it's the small business owner's curse.
Yes.
That it control freaks.
Yeah, 100%.
It just happens that way.
So speaking to those smaller business owners, what systems would you say are absolutely crucial to running that smaller business?
Yeah, so a lot of people, and it's on everyone's lips these days, when people want to come and work with us, they say, I want to systemise my business. And I go, great. But then I look at their business, I go, but your business is broken, so why systemise it? We need to fix it first. So we go back to the basics, and that is getting all the technology right, getting all the IT right, getting them understanding their numbers, and making sure this whole flow of a job. And I start with the office, an organisational chart, who is doing what and when, because most small business owners at the beginning, if they had an organisational chart, it's Bob. Bob is doing everything, right? And you can't be doing that. If you want a business that can run without you, if you want a business that gives you the leverage to go and drum up more work, make more money and have time off, you need to have the right staff in that position. But most business owners don't set the role up in the right light and don't systemise it the right way. So we're not talking about systemising how to swing a hammer. We're talking about, it's mainly the office side of things that we work on first. You get the office right and everything humming, then the tradies will follow with checklists, templates, all those things on site that you should be doing at the end of a job or even every day.
In your experience, what are most people lacking on that side of the business?
In systems?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the know-how of how to build it, I think most people go, I've got a system for that. I go, okay, where is it? They go, it's
in
up
my
here.
head.
And I go, okay, does anyone else know it? Oh, no, not really. I said, well, how do they do it? Well, they ask me and I tell them. And I go, well, that's not a system. You know what I mean? So it's about getting, as a business owner, you've got to start trusting your staff more, but you've got to be able to train them. You've got to make sure they know a set structure of what is expected of them, if that's doing projects or...
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head in that how do you trust a contractor, an employer, whoever it may be, to execute the job in exactly the right way so that you won't have to do it again?
Employ the right person.
Step one is employ the right person.
You absolutely have to employ on attitude,
Yep.
not skill set. you clearly need them to have a certain skill set because you're asking them to build a house or whatever task it is that you're asking them to do. But if you don't employ on attitude, it's got to come first. They've got to be the right person for that business.
So on that,
Yes.
how do you identify the right attitude?
Yeah, well, that all comes into the job interview, right? And I think a lot of people are like, I need a tradie. I need him now. Who's out there? No one. I can't find anyone. You'll do, mate. Come over. They're not the right person. So, we really train the people we work with to make sure you're finding the right fit from the start because, if you've got a team already, one bad apple can turn everything really bad quick, The other thing is trying to get the person with the right work ethic and attitude. And listen, we all want to be amazing tradies and majority of us are good out there. But you need a tradie that's willing to learn to be better. I think the times have gone where your staff are just a tradie. They want so much money now, then they need to be more than just a tradie. You need to get more out of your staff. It's not just swinging a hammer, putting up that framework, whatever it is. They need to think. They need to think for themselves.
So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you for a bit of secret sauce here.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. How do you identify? How do you coach your tradies to identify somebody with the right attitude? What's the system?
I think the big thing here is you're not looking for a person that doesn't have a job. Because if they don't have a job, why?
Yep.
Like in this day and age, if you don't have a job, why don't you have a job?
Yep.
You're looking for a person that has a job but wants a better job. So what you're doing is you're trying to be marketing to people that already are working with someone else. And that's called headhunting, I suppose.
Sure.
And I'm not saying go out and attack your competitors because I'm not a fan of that. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that you believe, if you're a business owner now, that your staff are really happy. And they probably are. But there's always a day when they're not happy for whatever reason. And if they're looking at social media and they're watching this company on Instagram or on Facebook and they're trying to hire and they're watching all the work they do, hang on, these guys look quite good. Yep. And then you look at going down that path of retargeting them through Facebook. So you might have a video for them to watch and you can see how much they've watched that video. And then you start retargeting. Now, they may not be ready to leave their boss now, but I guarantee you within the next 6 months, there'll be a day they see your video and they go, I'm just going to reach out.
It becomes relevant to them.
It becomes relevant.
Yep.
I think you want rock stars. We all want a rock star tradie or admin person inside our business. We want the best.
Yep.
So you need to actually be ready to employ pretty much at any time. So to Andy's point, this is where trade business owners really need to be conscious about how they are seen just in social media in general.
Yep.
Because although we teach and we all know how to visualize or showcase your business in the best light to be an authority, for instance, on Instagram, especially in this trade, you've so visual, beautiful imagery of before and after photos or whatever. But all of your marketing is actually getting watched by the rock stars who are prepared to jump ship when they're ready and they're watching you. Geographic boundary, they know all the competitors in the area, and eventually one day, if whatever happens in their job, they decide they want a better job, you want to be ready. You want to be the person that goes, I want to go there.
I think, you look at Joel Jones, for instance, and obviously I watched that episode, and I do know Joel, but the thing is he built that house. Now, I don't know how much social media he did when he built that house, but if someone is watching that, and I just watched this episode, how amazing was that, listening to him in that episode?
Caliber,
you want
quality.
to work with the best.
Yes.
And he's one of the best up there on the northern beaches, and that's one of the nicest houses up there on the northern beaches. So if you're someone building this quality work and you're not showcasing it to the world, then you're not probably bringing the staff.
It's a lost opportunity.
It's a lost opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
So you need to be working on that. And I know some people will say you want the best. Well, to get the best, you've got to pay them the best. Now, I'm not saying the highest amount because people aren't always going for the money, but you've got to be in that range of a high amount, and then you've got to give them such an amazing opportunity within your business with a good culture that it's not worth them leaving for an extra $5 or $10, an hour. So you've got to build that.
I want to give an example. So we have one of our members, Will Marvel Tiling. He's in WA. He didn't really have a very good social media presence, but his quality of work is second to none. And now, if you look at him on Instagram, he is meticulous. You walk through the front door and the lines of the tiles will line up into the house to the back. But now
To the pool.
to the pool.
Yeah,
like,
that's how
it is
full.
so particular. But he never showcased his incredible work. And now he's confident. Before it started with him just showcasing his work, it was just flat imagery. Now it's video. Now it's him on video. Now it's his team on video. And now they're watching them do the tiling. And it's incredible.
Everyone wants to work for him.
And now everyone wants to work with Will. Yes.
So did that come from you guys noticing a gap in what he was doing, prompting him to do it? And
So
he did
when
it?
he came to us, he was a great tiler, and I said, well, why are you good? And he goes, my quality is second to none. I said, okay, does anyone know that? And he goes, well, no. And I said, well, he said, and I'm finding it hard to attract new staff. And I went, well, if you're doing this amazing work, if people saw that, they'd want to learn that too. He goes, definitely. And we talked about who his avatar is. This is his ideal client. And he realised over there in WA was the mega mansions. He said, well, that's where I want to be, but I don't have a big enough team to be able to do that work. And I went, well, that's what we're heading for. So he's gradually built his way up, but now he's the go-to guy of all the mega mansions around WA, in Perth, that area. And Marvel Stone and Tile, like he just nails it. His name's Will Marvel, but check it out on Instagram and you'll just see he does everything spot on. But now he's got that much work, he can't even keep up. He's got people knocking on his door every day. It's going well for him.
You've just touched on something that's really, really important, and that's the ICP, so the ideal client profile.
Right.
For builders listening to this, what's the method for them to identify who their ideal client is?
I think a lot of builders, and not just builders, any tradie, they just thinks a job's a job.
Yes.
But a job isn't a job. You know, you've got to go, well, what are you actually looking for? Are you looking for $500,000 jobs, $1 million projects, $5 million projects or above? Where are you playing? And then you're going to go, well, who is the ideal customer for you? Where do they sleep? Where do they live? Where do they hang out? What do they do? And then you've got to focus all your marketing towards them. Now, once you focus all your marketing, and then you need to realize that taking this job over here that maybe isn't your ideal customer, because most people still take it because it's work, all of a sudden they can't do the good job because they're too busy over here. I'm not taking on any more jobs this year. And people wear this badge of honour that they can't take on any more jobs.
Too busy.
And I'm like, you're taking on too much crap work and you can't get to the good stuff. And let's face it, like builders, most tradies, we want to work on this 20 or 30% profit margin at the end of the year. Now, some people hit that, some people don't. But the question is, why don't you? Now, it could be not the right customers, it could be not the right structure, it could be not being organised. I mean, there's so many things that come into that. But I think that is such a big part of it.
Yeah. So when you talk about that reaching that ideal client, I mean, and I suppose for every person listening to this, depending on what area they work in, the type of builds they do, there's so many elements that come into it. So how can people listening to this actually start thinking about the right way for them to select their ideal client? What are some of the hallmarks of an ideal client? They'll be different for everybody, but what's the method to do that?
Yeah. So I think the big thing here is we work with not only builders, but we work with shower screen companies, fencing companies, pest control plumbers, electricians, you name it, every trade. So everyone's got a different ideal customer. But you've got to work out for you, firstly, what do you like doing?
Yes.
There's no use having a customer that pays well, but you hate going to work every day.
Yep.
So, I know money's important, but sometimes it's not that important. So firstly, you've got to go, what do I like doing? What do I enjoy doing? Where is the money? Where is the high net profit? Where am I going to make the most bang for my buck?
Yep.
Keep my boys happy, give them opportunities moving forward, and get paid on time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. There's so many businesses out there that are sitting back and their terms at maybe 30 days and they wait for the 30 days and they get strung on. And I don't see that as a good customer.
No.
And I know that some people, and let's face it, in the building game, there's a lot of people hurting out there and they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I get that. But if you've got a business or a builder that's highly unorganised, not paying on time, then all of a sudden they put a price in and go, I can make money on this. But then when they turn up on site, if it's so highly unorganised, all their profit margin's gone, and now they're chasing money. It's not great. So, it comes down to the individual, but I think the main thing is you're in business to make money. Let's face it. You need money to be able to market. You need money to pay good staff. You need money to keep the tools. You need to make money. So that's obviously high in the priority. You've got to love what you do, and you've got to have customers that appreciate you and you like working with and pay on time.
Yeah, absolutely. So really looking over your past customers.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
really looking over your past customers and saying, all right, that was a great client to work for.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked where they were. I liked the work that it was. I made good money out of it.
Yep.
They loved us. We loved them.
Yes.
Everybody's happy. And so really looking back over your past client base to unearth
100%.
those and then saying, all right, they're the ones that we can move with going forward.
That's where your marketing dollar goes, and where most builders make a mistake is they, I look at it like a tree. You got a branch and you got all these different branches, and you go down that branch, you build a house, and then all of a sudden there's a few other houses off that branch, but then that branch dies and falls to the ground, and most builders are like, holy crap, where do I go now? And now they think about marketing too late.
Yes.
I think every single business has to constantly be marketing, have a leads coming through the door constantly, good quality leads. But being a business owner is about picking the best customers for you, not just taking on work because it's there. And that's the challenge that builders, any tradie, when they don't have work, they panic, they take on anything. And it's not because, they're not doing the right thing. It's because they don't constantly market and they're just used to things happening. And let's face it, since COVID, it's been a gold rush for builders and tradies and everyone, right? But now the screws are getting tightened. People are starting to hurt now, and people are sitting back going, where is my next job?
And especially in the building game, your sales cycle is so long. A client will have an idea about what they want to do with a renovation or a rebuild or whatever it is they're trying to do, but it could take 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months before they actually make a decision. So it becomes really important in this industry that you are that authority in your market, in your geographic boundary, so that you are highly considered when your client, decide to make the decision to just reach out to you and have a conversation, that you are top of mind for me, because I will always get perhaps 3 quotes or whatever. So why am I choosing you when there's so much competition?
Definitely.
And
Andy,
that's,
I'm
mate.
going to cut you off here.
Yeah.
You've mentioned hurt a few times.
Yep.
Going back to your personal experience you had when you were struggling with your mental health,
Yep.
what would you say now on the back of that to current people who are in a similar boat?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I suppose back then I would never have called it mental health. I would have just called it being soft, and what's wrong with you, just get on with it. And I think, as males, that's how we were brought up, drink a cup of concrete. Times have obviously changed, and we're seeing it every single day. We're seeing it with the young kids out of school coming onto job sites and not lasting a month, times have changed. So it's hard because I'm still a bit old school. So I'm a bit like, just get on with it. But I've been low as well. And mental health and being in that position, you've got to, if you can't help yourself, it's very hard to help everyone else. And that goes with your family, that goes with your staff, that goes with your business. So, and that starts with you personally. So this is where I believe, not that I'm a big gym junkie or anything, but my trainer, he really took me into this lift heavy weights, get that testosterone going again. I'm 51 now. He's like, this is the time that you should be doing it. And, and I feel like I could run through brick walls when I was back in the days when things were a bit tough, I'd let myself get a bit chubby. I was drinking too many scotches in the afternoon. I'd start with a beer, or go to a scotch, I'd go to a red wine. I was like, when's it going to stop? I'd wake up with a bit of a sore head. I'd be stressed. I'd be, I was thinking that was the vice I needed to fix my day. And I just urge any listeners out there that are doing that now, that is not the way. The way is to do your fitness. I love a beer like the most of us, but if you're taking that to the extreme, that's definitely going to hurt your mental health. So you've got to be smart. You've got to work on you personally first. And I look at it as, you've got a computer and you've got too many pages open on a computer. what happens? You get that spinning wheel of death because the computer can't make any decisions anymore. So what do? We switch it off, we reboot it, and away we go again. That's no different to the human brain. As we get older, and I definitely have seeing it in 30-year-olds, but 40-year-olds plus, the pressure that you once could handle becomes harder. And when you've got too many pages open and you're trying to do too many things, just like that computer, you start not making the right decisions. You've got that spinning wheel of death. If you feel yourself and your mental health and you're not in that right way, you've got to reboot. Now, it's easy for me to say, how do I reboot? Is it take 2 or 3 days off and walk up and down a beach all day? Is it, go sleep for 3 days? Whatever it is for you. But I understand that business owners can't take time off. Most people are so caught up in their business, they just can't. But you've got to work on yourself. For me, eating healthy, drinking a lot of water, limit the alcohol, go to the gym, lift big weights, lift heavy weights. If you can do that, you're a start. Get up early. If that means you're going to get up, and some of our members are getting up at 4:30. Tradies do that. They go to gym. You've got to look after number one first, because if you're sharp up here, and you're sharp in business, and you're sharp overall. So I above that, when you're taking mental health to the next level, I'm no expert. I can't really deal with that. But my personal opinion is, majority of people can fix it themselves by getting off the drugs, alcohol, eat healthy and train hard.
I think they wait too long. So tradies give up their hobby, let's call it, because business gets busy. They have a family, they now have children, they have commitments, and they forget about who they are. They've forgotten about that stuff. And when they get overwhelmed, they hit burnout, they crash, they take a holiday, or they do something, but it's too late. You actually have to go back and say, to what you're saying, it's what are you doing every day? The discipline of the habit has to now kick in. It could be just 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes, start your day right, because it really sets you up well.
Can I ask? So you've talked a lot about healthy body, healthy mind.
Yes.
Yeah. What are some of the other things that builders listening to this might do if they're feeling stressed? And obviously, healthy body is great. What other things could they be doing from a perspective of helping them have a healthy mind? That some people meditate, for example.
100%.
I mean, what sort of things can be done?
Some people meditate, yoga, go down that path. I think being in an incredible community at Lifestyle Tradie, we have some of the best trade businesses in Australia, and you can talk about your woes. The wives can talk about their woes.
So sharing it.
Yeah. You can't share that stuff with your dribbling pub mate, and I hate to say that, but you can't. And you don't want to, and you want to keep it to yourself. But you know what I'm saying, right? So you want to talk to someone that's been there, done that, been in that situation, and come out the other end.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
A level head.
Because a lot of people talk about motivation, and it's great to be motivated, and I feel good. A lot of builders will have that break off at Christmas. They'll go nuts. They'll hit it hard. They come back to work. They're feeling a bit revived, hopefully, and they haven't really drank too many beers. And they're ready, and they're, okay, 2026, my year. They're a bit motivated. They want to take it to the next level. But motivation's incredible, but you need the discipline, because you're never going to be motivated 100% of the time. And you need the discipline. And the discipline is every single day, I get up at 5:30, I go to the gym for an hour, half an hour, whatever it is. I walk the dog, whatever it is you do. I go for a swim in the ocean pool, whatever it is you do. But you do it every single day. And that helps set you off into good habits. And you know that as a business owner, you have structure, you have plans. You're not just hoping for the best. You know where you're going every single day. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. You're in control of your own well-being.
You're in control of your own destiny.
I think it also translates back into the team, because at the end of the day, as a business owner, you've put your hand up to be a leader of your tribe, let's call it. And whatever habits you have, they will see, because it will end up on the job site. So I think you need to be really conscious about how you show up every day, the language you use. If you're really negative, you're best to keep that to yourself. If you're smiling on site, it's really simple things that you want your team to stay loyal and stay with you forever. They truthfully have been attracted to you as a business because they like what they see because of your brand, because you're an authority in the marketplace, but it started from you, from the vision you had for your business. So therefore, in truth, they're coming to work with you because they want to learn from you specifically, a human. So therefore, what are you doing and how are you showing up that transcends now across the team? And if they like what they see, instead of them going out and starting their own business, which is probably what they think they want to do, they go, you know what? This guy is incredible or girl is incredible. I love learning from these people. They help me develop, they include me in decision making, and they are just a good, solid human, and I love working here. So why would I ever go?
Yep.
Do you think, I'll ask you a question. How many tradies have come to you or mates that have said, I've had a gutful, I'm just sick of this? Do you get that often?
Not in my specific situation, but you do hear it in the industry.
Yeah.
It's quite common.
Yes.
It's common, and because we're coaches, we hear it constantly. I've had a gutful, I'm over this. And when I sort of break it down, I go, okay, well, how much, how much do you pay yourself? How much do you get out of the business? What cars do you run? I go through the whole process, and they start working out how much they pay themselves. And all of a sudden I go, okay, go find a job for that much money. And they go, oh, geez, I can't. And I think tradies, and I hope this isn't new, you listeners out there and watching today, but there's too many people that are playing in this glass half full or glass half empty, space. And they're talking themselves down, and they say, oh, the industry's tough at the moment. And they make every excuse. Staff aren't like they used to be. This is a problem. Materials prices have gone too high. This. And they talk so negatively that they actually drown themselves in these negative thoughts every single day. And then that comes out in their nature. They start, I had an electrician ring me the other day, and he said, I'm just over it. And then for the next 15 minutes, he talked to me about how every single person around him was crap. And at the end of it, I go, so, okay, wait there. So you're telling me that your staff, your this, your wife, your kids, everyone's just doesn't get it. And he's like, exactly. I'm like, have you ever heard that saying that if you're in a room full of dickheads and you think they're all dickheads, that maybe you're the dickhead? And he said, what do you mean? And I just put him in his place. I said, mate, all you've done is whinge for 15 minutes about how everything's so bad. I said, you're taking no responsibility yourself. You're not taking on that maybe you have a part in this. And I think there's a lot of business owners out there that are too quick to blame everyone else. But guess what? If you're a business owner, it starts with you and you only. Take that responsibility, run with that responsibility, and make sure you're at your very best.
Excellent advice.
No, that's good. And so tell me about in the past when you've had situations where you've got clients who are a husband and wife team, they're working together. This is the case for a lot of trade businesses, a lot of builders businesses. What's the secret to making sure that you can work together and that you are effective in the way that you do it? Because it's not necessarily a lot of fun to work together all day and then go and lie, put your head on the pillow next to each other and still be thinking about probably work to do that. So what's the secret there that gets things working?
It's tricky because as a trade business owner, I'll be generic and say that's the male. She has generally organically come into the business because maybe she's had a child. That's the most common way in.
Yep.
And then therefore she's like, you know what, I've got a little bit of time. I'm happy to help. What would you like me to do? And he'll throw, it's a flippant, do the books, or I'd like you to help me with marketing or whatever. But the relationship where you started as life like a couple now, which was fun and adventurous, and now you've got commitments with your children or whatever, it's really different when all of a sudden you are owners inside a business or just dealing with each other inside a business, and it's where you butt heads. And she feels like a nag. She feels like she's come in, you haven't done this and you haven't rung this person, and why aren't you giving me all those receipts that I need because I can't finish the book? So they end up at each other's throat. And respectfully, the tradie, is such a control freak. He doesn't, even though he wants her help, he wants to be involved in every single decision, which is really tricky. That was our situation. Yeah. And my advice to that would be, firstly, truthfully, you don't have to actually work inside your business. Don't feel like because you're husband and wife that you actually have to be there. So it doesn't work for everyone, and your priority has to be your marriage. So give it a go if that's what you want to do, but don't feel like you need to stay there. We can always employ someone to come and help your guy. But if you are going to be there, let's start with some real practical things like an organisational chart. Let's work out functions, marketing, bookkeeping, who's answering the phones, yada, yada.
Swimming lanes.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
put people's names on it so that everyone is really clear. When I first started with Andy, I didn't come in because we'd had children. I came in because the business had grown so quickly, and I gave up a corporate job. Andy said, I definitely want you here. I want you to do all the marketing. We had a huge argument because I placed an ad in a local paper for $287, and I'd come from a job where I was managing millions of dollars. And so I actually had to say to him, sorry, why are we here? We need to, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. So it had to start from this organisational chart to say,
I think
who's doing what?
us tradies are control freaks. There's no two ways. And we all are good with our hands and great tradies, and not all of us are great in the office, So we look at our partner or our wife and we think, oh my God, if only they could come and help out. And then when they actually do, we pretty much go, great. We throw all the crap at them and woohoo, I'm out of here. I'm out on the tools. That's your job. And the partner's left going, I don't even know what to do. I'm trying to ring him all the time.
Yes.
I'm lost. And that's what we coach. I'm a marriage counsellor a lot these days. There's no two ways about that. But within Lifestyle Tradie and what we do, we train all this kind of stuff. And this all comes back to getting the right business model, the right organisational chart, technology, everything in place. And all of our training, the husband and wife don't have to always do it together. The wife is doing a lot of the training behind the scenes. She doesn't need to talk to the husband about it. So all of a sudden there's real clarity and she can get something done without saying,
So
Paul,
she's building
Paul.
the system.
She's doing it and she's doing behind the scenes. And that's the secret sauce. I think if you have got your partner in the business, that if you can make it work, it's incredible. But I would say, if I look at all of our members and all the people we've ever worked with, there's about 50, 60% of them have a partner in the business in some capacity. The other 40 are like, you know what? I'm happy just to bring someone else in. I can tell them what I want and not have that drama. I think the other rule is, Ange and I had a rule that we could never talk business after 6 p.m. at night unless it was something fun and exciting. So Ange would go, I got to ask you a question. I go, fun and exciting? She'd say, no. I go, well, that's going to have to wait till tomorrow. And then you've got to book in meetings that you have proper business meetings so they can ask those questions. The other thing I think is you don't want to be the wife ringing the husband on the phone all the time. Use something like WhatsApp. Send audio message. He listens when he gets a chance. He responds. You want to try and think, not like a husband and wife, but partners. And I think if you can set it up the right way with some boundaries, it really does work. And it works really well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just before we wrap,
Yeah.
could you both give us one piece of advice you'd give to small business owners?
Ooh, mine would definitely be, regardless of the size of your business, lean in on help. Lean in on a coach or some mentors who have walked the path that you want to before. Too many tradies will go down this path of, I can do this, trial and error, waste so much money. But generation after generation after generation, why do we think that that's okay? There are people out there who can actually steer you in the right direction and ensure that you make the right decisions at all times. Pretty much every decision is connected to finance, which means you're losing money if you're not guided the right way. So I would say make sure you've got a community of people who actually understand you well, so that now that you're not with an owner under them and you're now making all these decisions by yourself, have a mentor, have a coach, but have a kitty, a pool of people in an environment that get you, because you need people in your little backpack.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've been coaching for 16 years, Lifestyle Tradie. And if I look at all those years, everyone that's joined us have always said, if only I'd started with you earlier. Because so many people are making constant errors every single day. And, I'm not saying that I've got a magic pill I put in your mouth and you swallow and Shazam, it's done. It's still hard work. There's stuff that needs to be done. But if you're sitting in business doing the same old thing time after time after time, getting the same old results, that's a sign of madness, right? You've got to try something. You've got to do something. And we've got a lot of young 20-year-olds coming through at the moment, and they just want a Ferrari tomorrow. And they go, how much do I pay? What do I do? And they just do it. And technology, they were born with a phone in their hands, right? So they just do it.
Yep.
And they are flying. We've got guys coming in that hadn't even done one job, and now they're turning over 3-4 mil. We got another guy that's had low turnover, 100 grand. Now he's doing like 7 to 8 mil, and he's going into different states, you know.
Yep.
So you can do it, but you've got to find someone that you believe is the right person and that you can trust, and you've got to go all in. And it takes a bit of work, but if you do it right and you get your business model right, and as Anne said, you got to know your numbers, off you go, because there's nothing more stressful than having money issues. I think everything else you can deal with, when you have money issues, that's when husband and wives and everyone lose it.
Yep. That's
Perfect.
awesome.
Guys, where can people find you online?
The best place is to listen to our podcast, The Tradie Show.
Yep.
Otherwise, go to our website, which is lifestyletradie.com.au. We've got plenty of free resources, so they can certainly tap in. And of course, Instagram. We have, again, many resources there too.
Awesome.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show and hearing all of your advice.
Thanks for
Great to
having
be
us.
here, guys. Thank you very much.
Well done.
That's Made to Build. Tune in next time for another episode.